All right, spoilers for Thunderbolts. Duh. But yeah, I think it's a good movie, and I like it a lot. Had high expectations going in, and I feel like they were pretty much like fulfilled. And like I don't think it makes into like my top 10 MCU films, but like probably like hovering around the 12, 15 spot, like something like that. And I think like the main reason why it's good, it's because like it has an actual story to tell. Like, and when I say story, like I mean like a message, a theme to explore, like a character to dig into, and like I feel like it hit that. And like for many of our previous MCU movies, it feels like they just didn't really have that, and so it's like refreshing to have that again. Um, like this movie, like it looks mostly like an ensemble movie, but like it's really about Yelena and Bob, and I think that's like a good core story. Like Yelena dealing with her loneliness, her lack of purpose in life, like and learning about how to like lean on people and like being able to show that and teach that to like Bob. And like he's this guy who's going through his like depressive mental health issues. Like I think that's a good core, and like that's very simple, but like it works and makes sense. And I think there's like the generic overt like metaphor of Bob having this alter ego who's a big black shadow, right? Like the connection to the mental health being the darkness and being scary or whatever, like that's very obvious, and that's fine. And like I am impressed not by that, but by how like they took it like a step further, right? In the climax of the movie, right, Bob basically has to fight the Void version of himself, and like the Void, it's like the physical representation of the mental illness and negative thoughts, right? And at first, like the Void is destroying him by taunting him with these lies and stuff, but then Bob gets the upper hand, and he starts to absolutely pummel him, right? Like, and we start to see like Bob slowly get consumed into the darkness of the Void, right? And I like that Bob realizes that the negative thoughts are like bad and not necessarily right, and like at first he's like, oh, we got to beat the negativity, but then he's literally shown to be beating himself up, right? Which just feeds into the negativity and in turn like turns him into the negativity that he's trying to beat. Like instead of other people, like his parents, like telling him that he's worthless and always making things worse, like he's beating himself up and being too hard on himself, and like he's condemning himself. And I think that's like good that the metaphor wasn't just like beat the crap out of the negativity, right? But like you need others to help you out and wrestle with that tension, and like that works. Like that's a good level of complexity and nuance that like I appreciated in the movie, and like I was surprised about in the movie. And I do think like if you think too hard, like the metaphor kind of falls apart, and like all metaphors do, right? But the mental illness stuff, like it's broad, it's generalizable, it's not that deep. It's not like a super deep dive into a specific thing in the psychology field, right? With specific answers. Like you think you can criticize it for being like a cop out answer, kind of like the only answer that the movie brings up is like, oh, like have other people to help you out, and like that's helpful. But also like at some point, like other people won't always be able to help in every situation. But I think that's okay because like the movie doesn't need to be about that. Like I think it being vague in like the mental health like area is one of its strengths. Like I'm not going into a Marvel movie looking for a pointed commentary on suicide and depression and loneliness. Like I don't think that's what it's trying to tackle, but it's vague enough that like anyone can relate and project their own experiences on it to like resonate. Like regardless if you have a mental illness or not. Like if you've ever been hard on yourself or ever been a disappointment before, um, like this movie has the capability to resonate with you, and I think that is pretty good. Um, and so for like the other rest of the Thunderbolts, the team, like I enjoyed how they were actually like a mess and they actually sucked. Like Yelena, she's a big mess throughout the movie. John Walker is like actually a hothead and a jerk, and like Alexi, he's annoying and crazy, and Bob has literally no idea what's going on throughout like the entire movie, right? And I think they do a good job of actually doing the lovable misfits thing. Like some movies, they try to do that and they focus too much on the lovable part and not enough on the misfits part. And I think they struck a good balance there. And I feel like there was a very good job on John Walker, like good job on how efficiently they revealed information about the character of John Walker in this one. Like in the beginning, he's boasting about how, like, yeah, I do this job, but like also I have this beautiful wife and kid to go back home to, and like then we realize that she left him, and like it's an interesting insight into his character, like this guy who's still holding on to the status of what he hopes other people will see him as. Like he did that first with Captain America, and now like with having a wife and kids. Like it's just cool to see his deterioration, his decline of character, since he was like first introduced. And like there's that like moment where Bucky says like, I know like she left you or whatever, and Yelena, she realizes that, and like she just looks at John, and it's like a quick beat, like 2 seconds, that like unspoken understanding. I thought that was good. When it comes to Ghost, like they totally probably had time to like put in a Ghost Void flashback here, but like they just didn't, and it just felt like Ghost was there just to be another body, and I wish she had more to do. Um, but yeah, she has no real reason to be there. Like of the team, she definitely has like the broadest characterization. Um, and I think like the biggest misstep probably is like what they didn't do. Like I'm not necessarily like mad about the final product, but like they definitely misused Bucky here. Like he's got the most experience and credibility as a hero, and he's like also uniquely positioned to understand what all of these characters are like going through, right? Like there's this one little conversation when they're at that gas station where he has to like hype the team up, and like he's like, yo, like I've been through it too, and like I think that could have been more of what the movie was. Like him being a congressman or whatever, it doesn't really work or have much weight or significance. Like who knows why he's even a congressman? Who voted him for that? And like it feels like a random turn that like doesn't really make sense, or like they didn't really have much to do with it. And like I think it makes sense for him to be the one to like have to believe in the misfits and recruit them and assemble the team and like show his growth by teaching it to other people, right? But that would be like maybe a little bit different of a movie. There's probably a movie where like Yelena and Bucky could have been like the two main leads here for sure. And it just feels like Marvel doesn't know how to use Bucky really. Like ever since Winter Soldier, which was fire banger, like he was used as like a bargaining chip in like Civil War. Like, he was like basically like the plot device there, and the Infinity War and Endgame he's kind of just there. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he finally has time to like slow down and like go into his character, and then yeah, it just feels like he's bouncing around from being like passenger princess in like each project or movie. So yeah, that was a little frustrating. Some other thoughts, like I think it was probably maybe a little bit slow in the beginning, and I think there's just one thing about like with the increase of quote unquote homework that you get from like having to know all these movies and shows. Like it feels like the way that information is revealed in the first half is like clunky and a little dumbed down. Like I feel like there's a level of sophistication that is lacking in the exposition and like how we get going and like why Val is trying to kill all of them and like that reveal in general, like character exposition. Like I don't think it's really their fault because they're bringing a lot of characters from different projects and stuff. So I'm not too mad, but like it feels like, yeah, like if you watch all of the movies and shows and it's kind of like, oh, like slowing down and slogging through this exposition that you already kind of know is implicit like stuff, and like it's not in the ways that the characters would actually talk because they already know this and like other people understand this, but they're just saying it for the audience that doesn't know. And I guess that's just now like 36 movies into the MCU, like that's just the barrier of entry that we're gonna have to be okay with. And yeah, last things I guess about like the post-credit scenes. No shot that they would like last being the New Avengers for 14 months. The name, the New Avengers, like it makes sense. I think ever since we saw the asterisk and like Kevin Feige being like, oh, there's a big reason for why that's there, it's going to be important. Like we all knew that they're going to get a name change. But like it feels like a Far From Home like situation where, you know, Peter is outed, where like either it wouldn't make sense in the actual world where like people would like not accept them as like the New Avengers, and like who is this Valentina person to like say like the CIA director who they know is about to be impeached or like trying to be impeached, like why would they trust her? And like I also don't think like they're really going to stick with it in Doomsday because like we don't have time to like go over the implications of what this New Avengers team looks like in the world with like Sam's other Avengers, because we're too busy fighting like Robert Downey Jr. and meeting the Fantastic Four and the X-Men or whatever, right? And I feel like the post-credit scene is probably what like Brave New World should have been, like, or at least like a different Avengers movie like before Doomsday, right? Like with these new heroes figuring out like what it means to be an Avenger, or like what it means to be like a team of Avengers, like, you know, in a post-Endgame world, like after we've lost Tony and Steve and that kind of stuff, and like grappling between the New Avengers and Sam's Avengers and like reconnecting them with like the general public and seeing what like that means, like could be like super cool, would have been great. But yeah, don't really like all the hair choices or like the different like costume choices. I hope that's like not what they look like in Doomsday. But yeah, I feel like that overall, like that post-credit scene, 100% definitely done to build up the hype for like the Fantastic Four. Like that is like their big push of the year, and Marvel knows that they have to get it right, and they know it's going to go up against like Superman and Jurassic World. It's going to need to make a lot of money, and I really love how like they're using the musical theme for Fantastic Four so much. I think that theme is going to be huge because it's been everywhere on the trailers, and now it's going to be in a post-credit scene that a lot of people see, and like it's just going to be playing in people's mind. And it's like a good score. And so I'm excited for maybe another like musical motif to be like popular other than just like the Avengers, because I think that's cool when like you have those musical riffs that are like based on each character and we can kind of like tell them and recognize them in different things. Um, but overall, Thunderbolts, like I thought it was a great movie, very good, enjoyed it. We'll probably try to see it again. Basically, like the first movie of like the summer movie season, which this is gonna be a packed summer movie season. I'm excited, uh, and I think just generally like I felt excited leading up into this movie. Like just was really excited to go, and like I wanted to see this as soon as I could. And like afterwards, like I'm feeling that hype of like, ooh, I want more MCU stuff. Like this feels like a middle phase 3 movie in terms of vibes of like, oh, I'm getting excited. There's like we're building to something, and I feel like I want more. Which like after Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Deadpool, Wolverine, like Quantumania, the Marvels, like even Guardians 3, like they like some of them were good movies like Guardians or maybe Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but like they didn't get me excited for like more of the MCU at large. And like Thunderbolts, or I guess the new Avengers or whatever, even though they're really not going to be that, like this does. And I guess like one last thing that is annoying with like the new Avengers stuff, it feels like, oh, like it's like a shock value thing to get people talking, but like, I feel like it might not really like matter or like be something that like influences storytelling, because we're just gonna jump straight into Doomsday, right? And so like it's like that shock value thing, but like we're never gonna actually explore that. So that is something that like I'm frustrated about. Like I would like love a movie of like or something of in between those 14 months that like passed once we got to the post credit scene of like what is it like for them to actually like be on a team and be like a government Avengers, and for them all to like wear the same uniforms, and how like does like this Avengers team work in the current day, especially because like they're so like low powered and all of that. Anyways, I really did enjoy how like the credit sequence was a bunch of like magazines with like headlines and seeing like how the public reacted, and like that I want more of that. Like I want more of that MCU connectivity to see that we're in a connected cinematic universe. But yeah, unfortunately, we probably won't get that. But I still really enjoyed this one. So go see it. Hope that like it makes back its money, like that it breaks even. I hope that like it makes a profit, because I feel like it's a good movie.